This week we're reading The Right Thing to Do by LovesBitca8, otherwise known as There's So Many D's.
Hi readers, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, the book pod where we celebrate the heroines we love
and roast the ones we don't. We'll be your TBR FGMs.
Fairy godmothers.
And find you the best 5-star reads, the spiciest romance, and save you from the overhyped DNFs.
So grab your favorite drink and get cozy. Welcome to Season 3.
Jordan entering her fanfic era was not on my bingo card for 2025, but it's one that I'm delightfully surprised and enjoying, and I love it. And
I'm just glad I started one that you had not read yet.
Yeah.
And then
what a flex, dude. Just casually have you read this one? It's super good.
And then you tried it and you...
I enjoyed it.
Did you end up
fun.
listening or reading?
So I did every other. So what we're talking about is The Right Thing to Do by LovesBitca8, aka Julie Soto. There is an audiobook of this by ETL Echo on, I think they pulled everything from their Spotify, but it's on AOA3. If you look at it, it's like a podfic, I think, and we can link it. But they did a really good job. Her voice is really good as she's narrating it. So I flip-flop. So if there was a time when I didn't have my hands but wanted to listen to something, I'd do it. And then I would see what chapter I'm on. And then when it's quiet time with my child, I go back to reading format. So it was kind of annoying to pair it up, but it worked surprisingly well.
This is an interesting one because I don't think that this could stand alone without the Harry Potter universe.
I don't think so either.
This is Hermione fan fiction, by the way.
Obviously.
As if you didn't know.
What else could it be? I feel like it could if there was a lot of work done. But I also feel like the auction portion has so much influence into it that it would almost have to be a book 2 after Rose and Chains.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how you would do that in traditional publishing.
Because it's fascinating how this one started, because The Right Thing to Do is Julie Soto's very first fanfic, published in 2017 or 2018.
I was curious about that. I want to see was that when it was published?
I think so, or published as in posted, I guess.
Yeah.
But the auction, which is super popular and very well known and coming out as Rose and Chains this year, was a byproduct of The Right Thing to Do. So the auction is a huge plot point that we'll get into later. But I guess readers had demanded the alternate universe version of the auction.
Yeah.
And thus she wrote it immediately after The Right Thing to Do.
I love when book ideas happen so naturally like that, where you're oh, this is kind of good.
Yeah.
Let me see where this goes. Because it was published in 2017. So, because that is one of my general notes about it, is it feels like it's written by someone younger, if that makes sense. Immature is too aggressive of a word, but that's the word I would use. Is it's very young. Well, someone in their late teens.
But that's interesting, though, because the characters themselves are 19. They're 19 and 20 in this book. And that is, if I have any beef with this book, it's that they're characters who are a year to a year and a half after book 7 of Harry Potter. But they act and they talk and they have jobs they're 25 to 30.
Yeah.
It was this weird, what's the word?
Intersection?
Yes, that works. Of
you're making tea things with your hands, but I don't know.
And that's why it's so readable, because despite being 19 years old, you feel that these characters are professionals and very...
Really?
Kind of.
You thought that? I don't. That sounded accusatory, but...
Yeah, I feel attacked.
I know, sorry. I don't mean it to be that way.
It didn't feel like they were 19.
Yeah. There was I think the circumstances weren't usual for a 19-year-old, because they have board meetings and crazy stuff. But I feel like some of the situations are you guys are children.
Okay, so yeah, the romantic developments and how they interact with each other is a little childish, a little immature, but that's what you would expect off of two very inexperienced people.
But it's weird because I feel like I've read a lot of stuff of this age group, but they never act the way they do in this. This makes sense, but then when I think of other books, I'm oh, it's so good, but it's written from an older person perspective on how they think that people this age would act. But this is more how people this age actually act, written by some, you know what I mean?
Written by someone young who's trying to make their characters a little older.
Yeah. Very like fourth wall, like meta. Yeah. And I also want to do like a heavy caveat. So a lot of fanfic writers don't want their stuff posted on Goodreads because they don't think it's fair that people leave these critiques of things that they're doing for funsies, which totally valid. And so I feel like I want to like caveat this, that we're not necessarily like critiquing it. We're more just like taking like by notes of the writing. But I just want everyone to keep in mind that this was like done for fun. It hasn't really gotten like robust editing or anything. So all of our notes are just like general reader notes, not necessarily like, wow, you suck at writing. You know what I mean?
But also in the same sense, I want to highlight that this book is caliber-wise way better than some of the actual published books that have been supposedly edited that we've reviewed on the pod.
Yes. I think that's like the interesting distinction is like we're talking about it like these other published books, like that's how good it is, but it's like it also maybe doesn't deserve like criticism because it like really hasn't been edited. Like that's insane to me. That
and it's free. Just download it.
Yeah. God.
But
crazy.
You pointed this out that you had never like, or we had never read this type of heroine. So Hermione in here is very soft and pining.
Oh my God,
like,
so much.
So bad for Draco in this. And I'm here for it. That's what hooked me because I love a pining character, especially if it's the girl and she's hiding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I weirdly did not think I would enjoy it as much as I did. Like, I'm here for the angst a little bit, but I was like, oh no, like pining heroine. And I'm like, oh, I'm eating this up.
It's because she portrayed Hermione close enough to canon where she's still very intelligent and she doesn't let her pining dictate her actions, which was, I think, how you get, 500 something pages of just character interaction. That's all this is. There's not a lot of plot going on.
Yeah. I feel like it's also, she's pretty relatable too, because it's like a lot of internal, like overthinking, disasterism, like, oh no, like let me try to analyze this like interaction. And I definitely, have experience with that, especially when I was like younger. And like, I think it also kind of is like a universal experience a little bit for like younger women in today's society where you're like over judged for everything. And so you have to also like judge everything and like figure it out and you're self-conscious. It was fun. It was like a nostalgic throwback.
Yeah.
Twilight.
That's exactly what it felt like. It felt like a better Twilight.
Yeah.
But just a warning for readers who are, intrigued by this. The whole plot and the premise is driven by miscommunication and assumptions. Yeah. Every single like back and forth as you progress, it's only those two things, really. Yeah. We have some parties in the background. We have some like corporate espionage type stuff in the background. But it's just, miscommunication and assumptions over and over and over again. And it occurred to me about halfway through, I'm like, oh, this is the same formula that these 16-episode K-dramas follow. There's makeover session, mom interfering, and then a secondary potential love interest on both sides.
Holy shit.
Every romantic K-drama I've ever watched has all of those factors.
I wonder if Julie Soto has ever watched K-dramas.
I hope so.
Wow. I want a deep dive, like, literary analysis. That is so true. Wow. Especially the interfering mom. Narcissa plays such a big role in this whole thing. Oh my gosh.
So you're going to love this if you like those soft pining heroines, if you love billionaire.
Oh my gosh. Because I was thinking about what kind of hero Draco is in this, and he is straight up 100% the billionaire.
Golden retriever.
Really? I thought just the billionaire.
I think billionaire with golden retriever like hiding underneath because everything he does is for her. He creates a whole job for her.
Yeah, I mean, that was true. Fair. Point taken. Interesting. But I think that's what I love about Hermione fanfics too, is that you can take whatever piece of Draco's personality to like fit him into those archetypes of like love interest. Because I mean, I've read ones that he's like the beast and he like doesn't think he's deserving of love because he like fucked up as a kid. And then also him is like the shadow daddy where he's like overpowered and like super suave. But it's like, wow, what a dynamic character. Big crush.
That's an interesting take, but you're 100% right. Is that these fanfics just take one of those archetypes and mold Draco into it based on what history they want to focus on.
Yeah, but it like works.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah. What does that mean about Draco from Harry Potter?
He's a little shallow.
Oh.
No, I
like
don't.
A character.
I don't know if that's actually true because I have not read the later books in the Harry Potter series.
I always forget about that and then I remember again. Oh. I mean, I get it. because he really doesn't get much detail. I mean, I get it. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like the miscommunication and assumptions kind of fits with their ages, though. Like, I almost wouldn't expect that kind of like emotional maturity from them to like, let me take a step back and just like ask my partner about it. Like, whoa, man.
Yeah,
not a 19-year-old.
Both of them, Draco and Hermione, are too insecure and wrapped up in those insecurities to look past them to, address the miscommunications.
Yeah. I feel like we should jump into like a quick summary of what this is about, maybe.
Yep.
Very generally in like 3 sentences. I don't know that I could do it in 3 sentences. That's scary. Maybe we just jump into the actual. I'm very long-winded sometimes.
Okay, so if you don't want to listen to the whole synopsis, I will do my damnedest to do like a 3-minute synopsis.
That was so many D's and I love it.
Oh
no! See, my mind is still stuck on, the Charlie effect or whatever that L. Kennedy book. There's so many D's.
Okay.
Ooh.
We open. Hermione is testifying on behalf of Draco to save him from imprisonment. It works. It's a success. They end up working with each other at the ministry. Hermione has been pining for Draco for years.
Mm-hmm.
Draco has been pining for Hermione for years. Neither one knows that about each other. Draco's mom, Narcissa, gets involved because she knows her son loves Hermione and she likes Hermione, so she starts to like interfere and do some matchmaking. They both start dating other people at various points. They get jealous of each other. And then Lucius Malfoy makes an appearance. He kind of interferes a little bit as like a way to push Hermione away and to Draco. It's this weird, that's the one that I didn't like about this book. And all of a sudden at like the 75% mark, they almost get over all of their misconceptions of each other, their own insecurities. They connect. They have one more third act breakup. They come back together and they live happily ever after.
Yeah. I feel like if I just heard the synopsis, I'd be like, girl, I don't know that I can read that, but just trust me, it's so good. It reads like all of those cheesy high school movies that you just fucking eat up. It's so good.
I read so many Harlequin romance novels when I was a teenager, and this follows the same. It's a Harlequin romance novel, but instead of being 150 pages, it's 500 pages. And it's done, it progresses way slower.
Yeah.
So you actually get to know all of the characters and you feel invested. Like you get interactions with Ginny and Ron and Harry. Like they all have a part and they're not just surface characters as like we're throwing them in because they're in the Harry Potter universe. Like, no, they actually play a role.
Yeah. Even the side characters, like the side girlfriend, boyfriend.
Ron is a dick.
Oh my God. So that's a whole thing, like Ron bashing. Some people are like, no, I don't want any Ron bashing in effect. But it's so juicy. I love it. Like, I act like a dick, please, as a side character.
Yep.
And then, love it. That was a good synopsis. I feel like you did it justice.
Well, it helps that there's not a whole lot going on aside from romance.
I know. It's weird too, because we were talking about this. There's tidbits that you don't think are important, and then they turn out to be really important halfway through, and you're like, oh shit, so that's how she like brings it back. I feel like it's a lot of good plotting by Julie Soto or LovesBitca8. I feel like it's kind of impressive for like one of her first works too.
Yeah.
Like to have the like foreshadowing, pull it back in at the last second. Like
there's
very impressive.
She also wrote Draco's perspective.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh.
So there's a standalone that's not like mirrored the whole thing, but she's got specific scenes where.
Did you read The Auction?
No, I couldn't get it.
What do you mean?
They pulled it.
Oh, I will have to find our backdoor channels to provide it to you.
Please send it to me. I've been searching.
I like didn't like The Auction as much because it's more serious plot, but then like they act the same way they do in this. So it's a little bit like jarring, but I understand why a lot of people like it, but maybe I'm too old, which is scary.
Okay, I do have, before we actually get into the meat of the story, I have one book recommendation. It is probably one of my favorite books of all time. It is. What? I've read it maybe 20 times.
What?
It is a Harlequin romance novel. It is by Linda Howard, who I've recommended several times.
Oh.
So it's called Almost Forever, and it's about a secretary, right? This is, think late 80s, early 90s, like not normal gender, roles here. So she is a, successful secretary. She is recently divorced. She went through some trauma with a miscarriage with her ex-husband. They separated because they couldn't
Oh.
And so she has a lot of insecurities about herself and about her romantic status and competition with her sister. Very similar to how Hermione is in this book.
Mhm.
It's just that kind of soft pining, like just a gentle lady.
No.
But she just needs to be saved.
Yeah.
And then she is working for, it's in Texas. She's working for like an oil tycoon. So she's at like a soiree, like a fancy cocktail party, and this very handsome man comes in, and he is a shark type consultant type, and so he is there to romance her to get like business secrets from her boss.
Oh shit!
But as he's like romancing her, he starts to fall in love with her.
This feels like Matthew McConaughey.
Oh yeah.
What is it? How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
Kind of.
Whatever.
Well, and he comes at her with she's this vulnerable soft. So he's like, well, we'll just be friends. Like, no pressure. Like, I'm just here to be your friend. And she eats it all up. She's like, oh, there's no way this handsome billionaire is actually going to be in love with me. I'll just like be his friend and show him around town. And he finally loses it. He's like, I don't want to be your fucking friend.
Oh.
I want to date you. I'm in love with you. And then as soon as he confesses, she finds out he was there to steal business secrets and do a company takeover. So anyway, that book feels a lot like this.
It does. I feel like you said the same plot for both of them.
Yes.
Wow.
So
interesting.
If you can kind of get over the dated stereotypes that exist in these like older 80s, 90s, or some early 2000s books, this would be a book that you would enjoy if you liked The Right Thing to Do, or vice versa.
I am just going to casually add it to my Amazon cart.
I will die if you end up reading this book.
In a good way or a bad way?
I don't
know. We'll find out.
So anyway, back to our actual book, The Right Thing to Do.
Yes, by LovesBitca8. It starts with Hermione. Why do they keep bringing up very sensible heels? Is that like
It's a thing.
Okay. Kitten heels? Like, I don't...
Have you not heard that before?
No.
Oh, yeah. So that's like a thing. This is maybe a generational thing, but like, because I guess, so women don't wear heels as much, but like when it was like pretty much a staple of like corporate women, the like baby, not thick, not skinny, but like 1 inch to 2 inch heels. Yeah. Those heels that like a grandma would wear.
Yeah.
Those are sensible heels.
Oh.
And it's like, like they're spinster heels.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense. Now I'm interested. How old do you think Julie Soto is? Not that it's any of our business, but like now I'm curious what like reading generation she falls into.
I would guess that she's probably closer to my age.
Oh, interesting. I will leave that for further investigation. Anyways, Hermione is in her very sensible heels, and she is walking through the ministry down to the Wizengamot. Basically, it's like the upper house of British Parliament. I feel like there are British people listening to the podcast like, girl, what the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, she's going to testify on Draco Malfoy's behalf because he is being tried after the events of, the Wizarding War. And so he's up for trial, and she goes in and she's like, it's the right thing to do. I need to
thing to do. Remember that. It's
oh my God. It comes up so many times.
Bash you in the face a million times over.
Yeah. She's like, he had the opportunity to reveal our identities during this face off at Malfoy Manor. We got captured. He said he didn't know who we were. That was the reason that Harry's still alive. And then there was some other thing that he didn't do, whatever. She testified. He's kind of surly the whole time.
He's resentful that she's even there.
And it kind of makes you feel like he thinks he deserves to be punished for whatever happened. And so he's having his own existential crisis. And she's like, well, it's the right thing to do. She scoots away, and he apparently is able to get out on probation. He is going to pick up do we want to talk about yeah, we will. He picks up a short-time job, part of his probation, with the ministry, with the Auror's office, where he's an informant/analyst thing. So that's part of his deal. He ends up getting out. Harry also testifies, and they kind of I'm, part of the Golden Trio. That's why you should listen to me and let him go. Anyways, yeah. And so he gets out.
So we don't find out right away why Draco is released, because Hermione's on pins and needles. And this is, you said, the first hints where we get that, Hermione definitely has a thing for Draco, and she's invested in his future. But she is so righteous in her defense of him. And so she's just anxious. And I think it's Harry who reveals to her and Ginny that Draco was released not necessarily because of their testimony, but because he released his memories of what happened in the Malfoy Manor and all of the war to the Wizengamot.
Nice. I wouldn't have. I totally skipped past all of that. So thank you, because that actually explains a lot of things in my brain about what happens later.
The memory thing is important, and we'll come back a little bit later.
Yeah, because I love the scene. I think it's immediately following this that like Ginny's kind of like joking or like joshing with Hermione, and she's like, so like what kind of crazy hijinks did you and Draco get up to during school that, you know, like did you guys make out in any broom closets? And I love that Hermione's like, no, nothing like that. And she's like thinking to herself, she's like, I don't know why I like him so much, because we have like no interactions. Yeah, but it's like, I get that. She's kind of like created this own like, I like him and I'm not sure why. I'm a little bit ashamed about it.
I think it's deceptively easy to fall in love with an idea of a person if you only observe them in certain scenarios.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Hermione has done to Draco.
Wow. That was surprisingly deep.
I'm here for therapy.
I know, even with that voice too. God. No, thank you.
Okay, Hermione, though, is a low-level ministry employee working in the Department of Magical Creatures. She's like a glorified assistant.
Yeah.
Pretty low, which is what I would expect of a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Right? But she refused opportunities for better positions, believing that she should kind of start at the bottom like everyone else. She also works at a small bookstore on the weekends to fill her time, and I loved this.
I do too.
I was like, oh,
Same.
I would do the same thing. Like, oh, I have no social life and I don't want to sit at home alone. Like, make me busy.
Yep. New job.
Start a podcast.
Same. Oh, no.
This is why we love the book.
Oh, wow. I don't know that I can talk about this anymore.
Okay, I will continue. So, Ginny, so we kind of get little bits and details revealed about these secondary characters. Hermione shares an apartment with Ginny, and Ginny is dating Harry, but they're like, everyone knows they're about to get married, but no one's proposed yet. And there's like a ban on like the wedding from the Weasley family. Like, you're too young, like, obviously.
Yeah. Sure.
So Ginny is like a semi-pro Quidditch player. Harry is working in the aura department. He's like, absolutely, I will take the best job you'll offer me. And then Ron is a pro Quidditch player for a team out of Ireland. And he and Hermione have this weird history where like they have almost dated, but not. They've kind of dabbled in it, but never gone all the way.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I love it though, because it's that quasi, you don't want to put a name on it and then be disappointed when it like doesn't live up to it. Because she even says she's like sees him pictured in The Prophet with a bunch of different girls. And she's like, we don't have a label on it, but I always kind of thought that we were going to like revisit it when you were done in Ireland and you came back, but like you're kind of out doing whatever. It's like, oh no, girl, stand up for yourself.
It's strange.
Yeah, but she's working at the bookstore. And then Draco shows up and he's like, I am here to pick up a book for my mother. And she's like, oh my God, the like object of my desires just came into this bookstore. Act casual. Oh my gosh, your
She's
mom
staring
reads?
like a picture of him in the newspaper.
I know. She's like, oh no, cover that up. And then like we get this like series of, you know, she's just working at the bookstore. And then at whatever time, Draco will pop in, be a dickhead.
I've always shopped here. No, you haven't.
Lie. And he just like, you can tell it's flirting, but you also 100% can tell that Hermione doesn't know it's flirting. And if you were Hermione, you also wouldn't know it's flirting. It's like that weird, like, you know, he's giving you attention for a reason, honey.
Yes, exactly. Except Hermione's oblivious. And then we get to meet another employee at the ministry. So it's like a Monday morning. She's on her way. It's Draco's first day at the ministry.
Oh, yeah.
And she walks into the lobby and there's Draco and Harry and like a photo shoot team, like taking pictures of Draco just for the papers and stuff. And so Hermione's like, oh, hell no.
Thank you.
So she tries to scurry away, but they catch her and they pull her in for photos. And then she walks to the elevator with Draco and Harry. And then they run into Aiden.
Oh, yeah. In the lifts.
Yeah. And Aiden is one of Hermione's coworkers. He's like a year younger. And he's got a thing for Hermione. And everyone knows it except Hermione. And he gets into the elevator with her, I think. And he's very friendly with Hermione. And Draco's kind of mean mugging him the whole time. Who the fuck is this guy?
It's so embarrassing too, because I feel this on a freaking existential level. So Ginny helped Hermione get ready that morning and like get dolled up a little bit.
The hair.
And so Ginny like helped her like braid her hair into like what I'm assuming is like a fishtail braid or something. And then of course they're in the lifts and Aiden is like, you did something different with your hair. It's like, you need to shut the fuck up. Nothing's different. I don't, I'm not like coincidentally dressing up prettier than I normally do because Draco's starting at work. What are you talking about? That's not. I feel it.
I was triggered by that because like when you try something new with your hair or your makeup, and like the minute someone comments, they're like, "Oh, it's different."
Don't look at me.
I know it's different. Don't look.
Don't perceive me. My friend said that the other day, and I like, don't even look. Don't perceive me. Like existential level. And then that's basically the only interaction they have. And then obviously Hermione is like ruminating on it for the rest of the week until I think like Friday of that like first week. Harry comes running to Hermione's desk and he's like, please don't hate me, but I may have invited Draco to our like weekend drinks. He's going to be there. I'm sorry. And then Ginny runs in and she's like, mascara on right now. This is not a drill.
It's so cute though.
I know.
And this was kind of annoying. This was an annoying like character trait for Hermione where she's like, she's one of those anti-makeup girls. And I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a pretentiousness when it's like, oh, I don't wear that. It's this goopy stuff I put on my eyes. I'm like, well, you just need to learn how to use it, right? And then it's not going to look bad.
But also, home dog is mascara.
Yeah, it's a brush and mascara.
What do you mean? It's confusing.
Braid your hair, Hermione.
Oh, God. Yeah, I get it. I do. But like also like, come on, we're past that.
But the author did a great job with the arc that Hermione goes through with her whole like makeover thing. So we won't reveal that right now. But like there's a reason she's anti-makeup at the beginning and you just have to get over that because it does serve a purpose.
So they all go out for post-work drinks. It's like Ginny, Harry, Draco, a couple like rando people. And again, Draco is like obviously like flirting with her.
A drink.
And she's like, oh no, I'm just having my like second little butterbeer. A little bit tipsy. Like, oh my God.
If you've ever gone out with a group of friends and like there's like flirty vibes in the group and everyone's sitting around the table and then the two who should be getting together just are coincidentally sitting very, very close together.
Weird.
Yes. That is this whole vibe.
I think that's the like encapsulate. Like, yeah, it's a little bit immature. It's a little bit silly. It's a little bit young. But like, it's so nostalgic and like fun. And it gives you that like kind of like bubbly, like, oh my gosh, are they going to like get together? Like, Hermione, you dumbass. Like, he's flirting with you. It's such a fun, like.
Because it's so relatable because almost everyone goes through that experience. I wonder if Julie Soto was around 23 or 24 or maybe early 20s.
I could see
like
that.
College age when she wrote this because this actually feels like college kids.
Yeah. I could see that.
It's that same kind of butterfly.
Like still a little bit rosy-eyed glasses for life. That was dark. Anyways, time proceeds. And Hermione and Draco are like continually put into the profit, like dating other people. And it's always taken out of context for Hermione. And she's like, oh no, he's like with this like beautiful like blonde woman.
Ketsa.
And then and then who's the other one? Noelle,
yeah.
Beautiful model types. And then of course he's always like getting more progressively like handsy with them in these pictures. And she's like, oh no, like they don't like me, whatever.
But Hermione gets equal publicity because she is the golden girl. Like despite this being kind of shy, retiring, like enamored of Draco, where she hides in the bookstore on the weekends, every time she goes out, she's getting like pictured, photoed. Words.
Photographed. Because I think someone kisses her or does something, and then it's like Hermione in love is the.
Oh yeah,
there's some kind of So the next tidbit, which is mildly traumatizing. So Hermione again is going because there's some other trial for someone that actually did bad things, and she's going to testify to like keep him in jail. Except Draco shows up. And then we get an introduction to the auction.
Oh my God. So as they're waiting to testify, because Draco looks alarmed when Hermione walks up. He's like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, do you know who's on trial? Like, why are you here? And like as a reader, you know right away that Draco just wants to protect Hermione and get her out of.
I did not even pick that up, so I'm glad you wrote it down because I'm like, whoa, brain.
Okay, the auction.
Yeah.
So he tells Hermione about the grand plan that when they captured Draco, because I think it starts off with him questioning, like, hey, why did you testify for me? Like, why do you have this rosy picture of me?
Yeah.
And she keeps saying, well, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. He's like, well, you know what the wrong thing to do was? I was going to buy you for 35,000 gold coins or whatever, so you could be my sex slave.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's 5,000 extra ones where if you were a virgin or not.
Yeah. So that goes into the premise of the auction, where if Voldemort had won after the Wizarding War, all of the women that were important to Harry Potter or within the Order would go up to an auction for all of the, Death Eaters as a sort of like war prize scenario. And yeah, he was going to buy her.
And Hermione is immediately horrified by this. And so she runs away. She can't reconcile this Draco with the rosy, Draco she's built up in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of has a meltdown.
Yeah.
So she runs away and she goes back to her apartment and makes a wall.
I know, the psycho wall.
The stalker wall.
Yep.
Where she's trying to piece together like every bit of history she has with Draco to like find the explanations for why he would have, like, would he actually have paid 35,000? Was he planning to use me as his sex slave? Was he trying to protect me? And she can't fucking figure it out. And I think that's a good stopping point.
It is. Ooh, spooky. From our shelf to yours.
We will see you on the next page.
Hi, readers. Like what you've been hearing? Check out the Spice Archive at notanotherheroine.com to see all of our reviews and ratings. And if you'd like to support our growing library, find us on Patreon and get access to exclusive bonus content.
If you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.